This podcast features adult content not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. You have been warned.
Previously on Back to the Story.
And you see what looks like a jaguar-type creature.
Then you need to come with us and survive so that you can keep us safe tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that.
I'll find a way to be stronger next time.
In your heart lies power. In your hand lies the way.
So we're going to jump back in here with Kalvyn here. Kalvyn, so you went over and just barely into the other tree line, started looking for other tracks, any sort of signs, and as you're looking around, you don't see anything. It's just snow. There's no signs. There's no scrapings or markings or anything. You can push out with your sense a little bit, seeing if you can catch something, but nothing. As you sigh and begin to turn around, you can see 200 feet away. You see Wink standing over on the other side, small from this distance, as you suddenly feel something at your back. Does a 16 hit? Or I'm sorry, a 17 hit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you hear a slashing across your back, and you take 9 slashing damage as you feel something grab into your shoulder with the other claw slashing into your side. A moment later, the natural 20, and you feel as fangs drive into the back of your neck, you take 20 piercing damage as you feel this thing pushing you forward, and I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Jesus. Awesome. Strength. You've done shit for me all day. Oh, that was an 18, so that's going to be a 20 straight saving throw. It's 24.
Okay, you feel the weight of this creature pushing you back onto the ground. You can't even see it as it's on your back, but you steel yourself, drive your leg into the snow, and keep yourself from falling to the ground face first. And suddenly, the weight that was on your shoulders dissipates and is gone. The blood trickling from your neck and from your side where the claw got you.
That's exciting. I think I'm going to book it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to just Shazam it on up the hill, back to the cave. Maybe when I get closer to Wink, start screaming.
Okay. So Wink...
I found it!
Wink, as you're watching, you see suddenly Kalvyn being pushed almost to the ground. You see something on its back, and it suddenly disappears. Kalvyn wobbles for a moment before starting sprinting across the field.
All right, I'm just going to ready an action. If I see it appear again as he's running, I'm going to try and cover him.
Okay, so Wink, you kind of pull out your arrow, notch it in as you see Kalvyn. As he gets about halfway across, you see something shift. Looks like just a snow flurry at first. You see it shift, the snow moving, and you see a creature sprinting out. At it. Okay, go ahead and make an attack roll. At disadvantage. You have disadvantage either way. You can see it's almost, the snow around it is molding. It's hard to tell exactly where it is.
11.
Okay, and it looks like he's going for it, but it just goes through the snow about where its shoulders is, but it doesn't seem to slow down at all. You see it's quickly catching up to Kalvyn. You see it's running. It disappears. You see it appear very close behind Kalvyn, about 10 feet behind him. You see it running. As Kalvyn, you can hear it.
Do I have time for another shot?
You can draw back up again. Kalvyn, are you just sprinting, I assume?
If it gets to a point where it's close enough and it doesn't look like I'm gonna get away, if it's actually chasing after me, let's see here. I will. Okay, here's a question that. Okay, what's the potion rule in this game? Full action to drink a potion?
Yeah, full action. There are feats that make it into a bonus.
Okay, well, I will, I guess, stand my ground, and take the dodge action. I'll make my movement and take the dodge action.
Okay, so you run forth, trying to maneuver defensively.
Yeah.
Okay. And that Wink, you can see Kalvyn. He's running slower but carefuler. but you can get another shot off. As you see this thing sprinting towards Kalvyn.
It's still a disadvantage. It's a 10.
It is. The arrow, you see it as it's about to go through it, and suddenly it dissipates for just half a second, then congeals back in with the snow it dissipated into.
All right. I'll start running towards him, I guess.
Okay. As it runs up, catches up to you, Kalvyn. 40 feet away. Yeah, it catches up to you, and it's going to try to strike at you again.
Hey, is it immune to blindness?
You don't know.
Well, okay, well then I'm going to try to curse it. Yeah, blood curse.
Doesn't it already have disadvantage because of your dodge?
Never mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just dodge it.
Okay. So it goes from a 20 to a 8 to hit. It rolled a natural 2. As it launches up at you as the claw, and you just duck under, sweeping under, as it lands on the other side, turning and launching up towards you one more time. At disadvantage still. And that's 11 this time. As it jumps in, slams its claws into your chest, and kind of pushes you back half of a foot, but isn't able to cut through the armor. As it lands on the ground, and it kind of looks around and begins circling you slowly.
Okay, well then I'm gonna try to match it. I mean, it's circling me slowly. I'm gonna try to take advantage of that every time it. So I don't want to incur an attack of opportunity, but I want to continue to do the dodge action, but to try to move away from it at the same time.
Okay, so you're kind of rotating. You kind of in the dodge acting, trying to rotate towards the wink side. Sounds like you're just kind of dodging, moving in that direction.
Yep.
You move a little bit closer to wink, but it's staying up close to you unless you wanted to take that attempt of the attack of opportunity.
I sure do not.
Okay, so staying close within range. Wink, you can kind of see Kalvyn and the creature rotating. This white creature.
Well, when I get another chance, I'll take another shot. Natural 1. I'll go ahead and action surge and try and do it again. 12.
Okay, so
not my day.
As you pull back the first arrow, it doesn't quite land in the notch, and you pull it back, and the string itself just kind of slings. It taps into your wrist where you're holding the bow, stings a bit. As you pull out the second one, pull it back, just lands in the snow at Kalvyn and the creature's feet as they're slowly rotating. Kalvyn, it kind of rotates and suddenly kind of dodges to the right and then to the left before coming up for a strike. At disadvantage again. 16 to hit?
Yeah, that hits.
Okay.
That's manana.
You take 7 slashing damage as it lands, striking in towards your throat region. Are you still conscious?
Cool. No, not at all.
Racial ability.
So instead of a strength saving throw, you are knocked.
Oh, yeah. I'll use Relentless Endurance.
Okay. Make a strength saving throw in that case.
Okay.
As for a moment, everything goes black, but then you blink open again as you see the weight of this creature pushing you back onto your back into the ground.
So 19. Saving throw is a 21.
Okay, but driving your back legs in, backpedaling just a few feet to keep from falling down, you drive your heels into the snow, remaining standing as the creature falls back onto the ground. Going for another strike. It's biting towards your leg. At disadvantage, 14 to hit. So it bites out towards your leg, and you just kind of kick it in its head and kind of kicks back.
Okay, let me ask. If I were to take the dodge feature as my action, would that even on an attack of opportunity, he'd still have to roll a disadvantage?
It'd still be a disadvantage, but he could attempt it, but it'd be a disadvantage.
That's my only way out. I'm going to take dodge, and I'm going to bolt.
Okay, it tries to strike at you. At disadvantage, it's a 2. It doesn't need to roll lower. 8, it misses as you dodge and back away carefully. About 30 feet towards Weak.
Alright, seeing that he got away, I'll kind of just strafe backwards and try and hit it again.
Okay. At disadvantage again.
25.
That'll hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Alright, so that's for... It is just 7 piercing damage, and I'm going to go ahead and make that a grasping arrow.
Okay.
So it takes another 5 poison.
And does it need to make a save, or...?
Nope, it is wrapped with poison vines, and its speed is reduced by 10, It has to make a strength check to remove those, and if it moves 1 foot or more, it takes 2d6 slashing damage when it moves.
Okay, so Kalvyn, as you're backing up slowly, Wink, you strafe to the side to get a better shot, releasing this arrow. As you actually find an impact, it sticks. As the arrow sinks halfway into the flesh, the arrow itself suddenly, as if a tree blossoming from it. Out of it, these thorny vines that suddenly wrap around the creature's torso and legs, struggling for it to move as the thorns dig into its body. It's a hard time moving currently.
Holy shit, it actually worked. Run, 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 run.
As you backpedal, strafing back, the creature is going to try to shift and is going to go ahead and roll more damage. I'm not sure if it actually would incur this, but
if it moves even a foot without teleporting, or other than it teleporting. So if it's just teleporting, it wouldn't, but if not, it takes 10 slashing damage.
I'll say because it was struggling against it, it tries first just to move, and that incurs. It slashes and tears its own flesh. As you see the blood beginning to trickle into the snow as it trying to resist and break free. But instead of continuing, it suddenly disappears. You can see the vines kind of still in that strange formation. Fall to the ground, some of the vines that they begin to wither away and die. You see the creature appear again, some 40 feet back from where it was, back towards the line. You can see it turns around and begins to run away. As Kalvyn, you're backing up towards Wink.
Yeah, I'm going to bolt.
Okay.
Bolt
As you
dash.
move back towards Wink, Wink, you're kind of watching, covering him. The creature disappears, the snow leopard, into the other tree line, disappearing. You see every couple feet or so, it'll disappear again, teleporting forward, quickly getting out of your eyesight.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go. I'm going to briefly look at the arrows that I sadly lost in there, and then think better of it and run back.
Okay. As y'all begin to move back towards the cave, those of you who are at it, are y'all doing anything particular, or are y'all just waiting for the day to pass? Resting as best you can.
I went to sit next to Ball.
Okay. You go over and find Ball, sitting outside of the cave on a rock. You see his axes in his hand.
And before I say anything, I'm just kind of looking him over, trying to get a sense of how he's doing at this point.
Well, you see the wounds he's still recovering from. You can see a bad wound on his leg that seems to be causing him to limp when he does move. You can roll an insight check for more, but that's kind of the surface level.
Yeah, I'm going to do an insight check then. The 10.
He seems kind of lost in thought, maybe, but he always kind of seems that way.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm just going to put my hand on his arm and see if he reacts to that at all.
I slit your throat. No. I think at the time, like, my eyes are just closed and I'm kind of just like in thought. And then when you put your hand on me, my eyes will open and I'll turn to you.
How are you doing?
Better. I should be okay tomorrow.
Okay. Was a little worried that we were going to lose you again there.
Yes, I wasn't strong enough.
See, now that is bullshit. That is just straight up bullshit. How could anyone expect you to be strong enough to face off against that thing?
I don't know.
Do you think I would have been strong enough to face it?
You don't need to be strong.
And why is that?
You don't use a sword. You don't use an axe. You don't wear armor.
You don't have to be... I know that you try to protect everyone. I know that's what you do. I know that you are trying to protect Wink. But you have to protect yourself too.
I will be stronger next time.
Well, It's not just about how strong you are.
What is it about? That's my job.
Okay, so it's your job, but do you realize how important you are?
Ball just keeps looking at you.
Do you remember what any of us said during the ritual? Could you hear us?
I only remember that I must return the axe.
Well, I guess there was a lot that we said. Vesper said something. Amsen sang a prayer, I guess, to Aine. And I had some things that I had to say too. I need you to know that you're important to me. You're important to us. Not just because you stand there and act as a shield, but you for yourself. You are important to us. Do you understand that?
I think. Yes.
Good. Because the next time that we're in a situation where we all should be running, if you don't run, then I don't either. If you stay, I stay. And if you die again, then I take down what killed you, or I die with you, and I think we know which one is more likely.
I think Ball goes from like looking at you while you guys are talking to just like he turns his head back down to where he was looking before, and just kind of like he's just like staring past his axe quietly.
You don't need to say anything, but just remember that, okay? And I'm going to stay sitting there, and I'm just going to lean my head up against his arm.
Okay. As you talk, and Ball seems to maybe listen as he's staring off. The rest of the day kind of goes by. Every now and then you hear something. As night begins to take hold, you can see the sun setting in the west where the mountain range extends. And night begins to fall. You're going to spend another night here? Okay. For just expediency's sake, if 4 of y'all, whoever wants to do it, will just roll perception checks.
I'll do one.
Okay.
I'll do one.
You know, just all do that at the same time, and I'll kind of expedite that
I'll do
process.
It's an 18 for me.
I also got an 18.
2 18s, an 11, and then one more.
Meli.
Sorry, what am I doing?
Perception test. I was just teasing it out.
At disadvantage because it's nighttime.
Oh, I can't see shit. Okay. That's a 7.
Okay. You'll go through, and as you're kind of waiting, sleeping it off for most of you, Amsen, nothing seems to go by on your watch. Meli, you think you hear something outside, but then you're pretty sure it's just the wind. Nothing else seems to come of it. Ellory, you hear something outside, very briefly. You hear sort of a in the snow, and then silence. You wait for a minute. Another minute passes, and you don't hear anything else. You heard it was maybe only 10 feet outside of the cave. Very quiet. But otherwise, if another minute passes, and you hear it, but it doesn't ever come back. You don't ever hear it again. And for Vesper, as you're kind of waiting up, as everyone's sleeping, you're listening. Every now and then you hear the hoot of an owl. And towards the end of your watch, you do hear a sort of A very distant roar. Very distant. And you kind of hear, cutting through the wind, the sound of... You wait a few minutes, and the sound of the roar is periodic. Every now and then it'll get louder, and you hear the sound of the wings get louder. You hear...
I'm waking nudging Kalvyn.
You nudge Kalvyn awake, and she...
Kalvyn, there's something outside.
Okay.
No,
That's why we're inside.
Shh, it's growling and it's flapping. No, there's wings and
You're
growls.
flapping right now. I'm trying to be not flapping. What?
Kalvyn, you're hunting a fucking manticore and I'm hearing something growling and flapping around outside.
Wait, this ain't a dream.
No.
I'll wake right now.
I'll crawl over and wake up Amsen too, I guess. Whoever's closest.
Yeah, because Amsen would be right next to Kalvyn. Whether Amsen planned that or not, Kalvyn probably did.
Okay, you can wake up Amsen again. And as Kalvyn, you're coming to, and Amsen, you are as well, pointing it out, Vesper, you can hear the occasional roar, and you hear the of wings. As Amsen, you're waking up, you hear it's very loud. It sounds like it's just above you as you're... A minute goes by and it gets quieter and quieter, more distant. So you can no longer hear the wings, and then you can only very scarcely hear the roar before that too fades away.
As it becomes noticeable that it was, I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure that as it becomes distinguished that it's flying away. I definitely want to check it out.
Okay, you want to go outside?
I want to at least poke my head out and see it. Okay. Shit, man, really?
Poke your head out, and you can make a perception check.
I was actually going to say that I wanted to go outside and make note of the direction that it's going to, so I'll help Kalvyn with that perception check.
Okay, yeah, aid. Advantage on... Or actually, it's just a straight roll, because it's dark.
I have dark? Alright.
Only to a certain range.
I can drink... Damn, I should have taken that potion. Nope.
What'd you roll?
Total is a 4. Or 8, excuse me, an 8.
You don't ever catch a glimpse as you move out too slowly to really see the actual creature. You do hear it as going east. It was coming from the west, along the ridge, going east along the ridge, but you don't ever get a glimpse of it. You just hear it.
East.
A few minutes go by, and you don't hear anything come back, just the occasional hoot of an owl. For the rest of the night, nothing really stirs. Eventually, you would all make your way back to sleep, except for whoever's on watch, and then would wake up the next morning as the sun began to rise. You can get up, roll hit die if you need to, eat rations and food. Ball, you're down to just 1 exhaustion level.
I was going to say, did Kalvyn come running back bloody and no one said anything?
Yeah, don't act like you care now.
No, okay. I did. I was like, wait, cool. Is Kalvyn coming
Honestly,
back?
What would have happened was Kalvyn would have came running back in. He would have beelined it straight to Ball, and he would have been like, Ball, I know I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet, but you don't need to be strong, man. It's all right. I know you didn't get to hear my words, but I love you.
Jesus.
Meanwhile, Kalvyn's like literally dying in front of him. He's just like, listen, man, you don't gotta worry about it. Everything's fine.
I was just concerned because I'm like, I can heal you. And I didn't know if they were coming back at all. That I just got really confused for a second because I didn't know if they were coming back to the cave.
How many hit dice do we get back on full rest?
All of them.
And I rolled...
Because I'll probably roll all of them.
Okay, I rolled well enough on my medicine check that you can take a full hit die. Oh. For the first day, and also for the second. So you can, if you need it, in the morning.
So you can just expend a hit die, but you don't have to roll it. You just assume you got the max on 2 of those.
1 at night, 1 in the morning.
Just a question. No one else is carrying any arrows, right?
No.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Can your bow shoot javelins?
No.
I figured you'd be strong enough for that.
It's okay.
So,
Definitely not.
so you guys are on the ridge, the southern ridge of the Nog Mountain Range. It's the morning time. You can see cloud cover moving in from the south. That's been following you for your travel has caught up to you. It's kind of overhead. The entire mountain range and the valley on the other side is shrouded in shadows. As you can see, as you move up the ridge just a bit away from the cave to the north, you can get to the top of the ridge and you see down the big valley with the Saber River in the middle. On the other side, the other mountain range. And to the left, you see the largest peak, Mount Noct, far to the west. What would you like to do?
Once everybody's awakened in the morning and everything like that, and then Kalvyn can help me with this as well. Fill everybody in on what happened with the Manticore. We assume to be the Manticore. Last night, basically telling everybody that it came from the west and it flew towards the east. And I'm assuming that east goes further into the mountain range.
East is going away from the mountain range.
Okay.
So the most eastern ridge is the lowest, and the altitude increases as it moves towards Mount Noct.
Okay. Then yeah, I'll tell them that kind of information.
Well, it's a good thing we're not heading east then.
Why would it come to you if you were to kill it?
Well, that's the thing, it kept going. It didn't really come to us.
But you didn't actually see it, did you?
Well, no, that's the other thing. It might not have been a manticore. It could have been something that sounds
chicken.
Similar, like not a chicken. It growled like a beast. But it could have just as easily.
Chickens fly.
They don't growl though. I'll just look at Wink curiously and kind of confused as he talks about growling chickens. But I'll just say it could have just as easily been a dragon or some other similar beast that growls and flies at the same time.
Surfacer said the Underdark is terrifying.
I mean, we didn't say that the surface world isn't. We're just more familiar with it.
Well, we're still 2 days away from this Jarl. We have that mountain pass that Kristoff showed us to kind of sneak around. So do we want to do that? Hope we can find it. How confident are y'all at tracking your way and making sure we find the right one?
Not at all.
Okay. How confident are you of talking your way through some orc patrols?
Extremely.
Then maybe we don't take the pass.
I look at Amsen.
Maybe
I
might
just kind of stare at him for a minute.
I make eye contact with Ellory, and then I look at Wink. Maybe I might be a little bit biased in that assumption. I look back at Ellory.
Alright, well, we have two options. We can only take one. So, very quick vote. Personally, I think the path sounds less terrifying.
Well, hold on a sec. Before we vote, if our plan is to just walk in, are we trying to be sneaky or are we trying to be forthright? Is what I'm trying to ask.
I figure we're trying to be forthright, which is what I was trying to get at the other day when I was suggesting not sneaking around, but...
Well, let's put it this way. If we're forthright, and it goes well, then we're basically going to get an armed escort right to the Jarl.
And if it goes badly, we face down a small horde of orcs like we did the other night.
Well, yeah, the ones we met before
didn't want to get away.
They seemed like the shoot first, ask questions later types. That's what I'm worried about going in and trying to get past the patrols.
Well, okay, what about... I mean, we have to be forthright at some point, no matter which route we go down. Right? We're not going to just sneak into the stronghold, leave the axe there, and hope she, takes it. And then if she throws it out in the garbage, we're not just going to rummage through around it and be like, oh, I guess she didn't want it, time to go back. we're going to have to do the whole, all the pomp and circumstance of presenting a weapon of this type of
but we can
significance.
Dip our toes into the water first. Maybe a couple of if they're all orcs. Are they all orcs? Is the Jarl an orc? Did we ever discover this?
Well, no.
Nope.
But my proposal is that we have the axe out in the open, and not in a way that is threatening or anything like that, but is just looks like we are actually a party of people who are looking to deliver this thing. And I mean, I don't know how these I don't even really know the proper word for them. I don't know how any of them are going to react, but hopefully somebody recognizes the axe, understands that we're presenting a gift to the Jarl, I assume is a gift, and they'll be able to bring us there.
So we have to talk fast, because Baal's the one carrying the axe. Baal is part giant. They do not like giants.
Well, yeah.
So I'm worried they're going to see him with the axe, assume it's an insult, which it technically is, thanks to Cald.
Okay, I've got a question.
And assume. Mm-hmm.
What if we give the axe to someone other than Baal?
It's probably our best bet.
I don't know if we need to jump straight to that. What if we just kind of test the waters? We already know one of them got away, and they were headed back to wherever the fuck we're going. And what she said. So, if that's the case, they're probably expecting us. So, stories of the party might not be. I'm not gonna try to say it. It ain't gonna happen. If that's the case, then why don't we just a couple of us go in and just be like, hey, I saw a half room with an axe, and he was all, I'm gonna deliver this, and we're like, that's pretty crazy. What would happen if he were to do that? And they're like, oh, it would be like a big party. We'd have a celebration, and then we'd come back and we'd be like, hey, they're gonna throw us a party, and then at that point we like, all right, let's go do it. That or they could be like, we're gonna kill that turd slinging half rune and everybody with them. And if that's the case, we're like, maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe think it through. But so a little bit of recon is what I'm trying to get at.
My problem with this plan is that they captured Wink and were going to take him back as a slave. So who's to say they wouldn't do the same to anyone that they found out doing recon?
Well, I mean, what? Wait, what? Why? They're going to catch recon? Is that what you say? We're recon. We're going in.
If a few of us...
Her point is that when we go in, presumably they won't let us out. They're not really that tight.
Especially if only a few of us go and approach them and we separate into two different groups. If we pretend... If those of us who go in first pretend that we're not connected to Baal at all, why don't they just capture us and...
Well, we try to blend in, we try to be like,
blend in.
Orcs. And they'll be like, orcs, yeah, that guy's kind of an orc, and that girl's kind of fruity. I don't know. I don't know why I brought up my sister.
Points at herself.
Yeah, see? She's all Lady Flame or Smokey or something, and they're like, I got this. That's somebody, you know what I'm saying? We got this.
Lady Flame.
I don't know.
I like that.
I forgot. What does she call herself? The Fallen or something?
It's the Fallen.
97% sure that won't work.
The Fallen Flame.
So, right now, we have two routes to follow. First, we might get lost, but we should avoid most orcish attention. The second, we'll probably run into orcs along the way, and we'll have to deal with that, whether by, hopefully, negotiating, or if they're a shoot-first kind of thing, because they already know we massacred a small encampment of them. then we make our way. What we do once we get there, I tend to agree that it's probably a bad idea to split up when there's really only one thing that could potentially prevent them from taking us all, and it's the axe. Anyone without it probably doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Or anybody
Possibly
with
literally.
it is a target, and they're just going to be like, well, they delivered it, I'm going to give it to them, but I'm going to kill them first.
If after we deliver the axe, if we need to escape, it might be better to have a special path that we can take. Maybe if we go through the passage, we'll know it's safe on our way back.
That is a good point.
That is true. Okay, I've got a question then. Either way, we're going to have to meet the orcs somehow, right? So, my question is, and DM, I want to make, I guess, a history roll for this, and I'll ask everybody else as well, so that they can make the roll as well, if they want to. Would we know of, in the orc culture, a way that they show, like, peace when they're meeting up?
You can certainly make a history check.
Okay.
I will do so also.
Okay.
That's a natural one. I don't know jack about orcs.
Alright. I got a 19, so hopefully that helps.
Okay, so we got a 19 from Amsen, and someone else rolled low, I think.
I rolled a natural one.
Natural one. Okay. So
I've never heard of
Amsen,
an orc in my life.
Amsen, thinking about stories you've heard of orcs, it's mostly of war and raids and destruction, burning villages and cities. They're almost always, of the stories you've heard, the bad guys in the situation. They are rarely, if at all, ever the good guys. As far as making peace, none of the stories you've heard are about making peace. There is one interesting story about the Code of Kataran, which seemed to be their deity, about blood pacts, about paying the blood price. It's strange for such barbaric and chaotic culture that the orcs seem to have in their religion. There seems to be somewhat of a code, but it seems so backwards. The story was about a human individual who was being a prisoner captured with orcs, and was writing sort of an anthology about the information they picked up. Whether it was completely fictional or these pieces of paper were collected and into one book, you're not sure. But as far as making peace, the closest you can come to is the blood price. When you affront someone, they can collect the blood price from you directly, or enough coin to where they're satisfied. But there's no white flag of surrender.
Okay. Then I'll tell everybody that I don't know of any sign that we can hold up or something like that that they instantly recognize as, hey, we're peaceful.
I think what we would need to do is present ourselves in a way that would be like, oh, I don't want to fuck with those guys. And as long as we don't act hostile towards them, they won't maybe jump our bones.
The problem is that we're going into their territory.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing we can do once we get to the gate is just be upfront. I mean, we're here to deliver the axe. If they're gonna let us in because of that, they're gonna let us in because of that. And if they're not, we don't have really much choice other than to try. I mean, we can have the big guy just throw it in there. Maybe that'll work. But no guarantee it's gonna get to who it needs to go to.
Whatever we do, we need to keep that axe visible.
I agree.
Very visible.
I believe they will be more frightened of their Jarl than of us. If the Jarl is expecting us, they will not want to upset her.
And it seems like this delivery, I don't know, it seems like there's some kind of honor code involved, for her at least, if not for her followers.
Where do you get Where do you get that?
It just seems...
Okay, but where do you get what seems? Like, that's what I don't get. It's like, I've seen nothing that would allow me to follow your
Can
train
you
of
give me a
thought.
chance to say what I was going to say, Kalvyn?
Sure, by all means.
The whole ritual around it, gives us his axe to deliver, and says that very specifically, if it's kept, it means one thing, if it's returned, it means another thing. It just seems like there's some kind of expectation set up around it. Maybe honor's the wrong word, I don't know. But there seem to be some kind of rules to it.
And didn't that orc
it's all a hoax, though.
were interrogating? The orc you interrogated mentioned that the axe had some special significance to the Jarl. I can't remember what, but if that is important
and
to her.
used it to kill half-runes and giants. And
Well,
we're sending the axe to her father's axe with a half-rune. This basically what he did was he said, "Here, let me wrap you up a nice present. Here's a half-rune for you to get your daddy's axe nice and wet."
Yeah,
That's the way I see it. That's the honor. That's. I mean, I think all this.
At the very least, they're going to let us into her chambers with that story.
Maybe. But how are
So?
we going to tell them? When are we going to get to? Like, when did we miss an opportunity last time to be like, oh, hey, we got this axe and it's so-and-so's axe and...
Can I suggest something? And I'll turn the ball. Ball, you were told the name of the axe, correct? I think I remember you saying it a couple days ago.
Yes.
Oh, what's the name of the axe?
Is Drawnball's axe.
Okay. What if, when we get into their territory, those of you who can speak their language, we simply say, we're here to return Drawnball's axe, as we are going through their territory. Just call that out every so often, so that if somebody hears that, then they know that we're not here to fight, we're here on a specific mission. And they can run back to Ustax.
I'll look to Vesper and I'll say, to the group, but with my eyes on Vesper. I think we should be prepared to leave swiftly after we return the axe.
I agree. Once we give it to her, unless she gives it back to us, there's not really a guarantee that they won't just slaughter us.
And then maybe we will need a safe path to leave.
Well, then let's get working on this path. Once we can see the stronghold, we'll assess how we're going to get in, and what we want to do about making sure we can get out.
I think we should avoid going in if at all possible.
Fair point.
Or at least not go in too far.
But we have to convince her we're important enough for her to come out to us. Amsen can help with that, hopefully.
I was just gonna say that as long as she can speak common, I may be able to help with that. However, if she doesn't, then I'm basically gonna have to tell either Ellory or Kalvyn what to say. Or they can figure it out themselves, of course.
I kind of do that thing where, you point with your eyes at Ellory.
I kind of do that thing where I kind of roughly shove Vesper.
When Vesper does that, I kind of do that, yeah, I know, kind of head nod, but just, I don't say anything about it.
Well, I'm not too thrilled to be the one talking to them, but I'll do it if I need to.
We'll figure it out when we get there. Do we want to take the back way, so to speak, or do we just want to start heading down the mountain?
I think we decided pass so that we can get out through that way?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go meet some ogres.
Kalvyn, Bull, what do you think about that?
I think it's better to be ready to escape and know that we can escape safely.
Kalvyn?
Kalvyn will look to Ellory, because that's apparently the person, or Vesper. Hey, Vesper, what do you think I should say right now? Is that all right? What do you think?
I just flip him off.
And Kalvyn will, through the grapevine, flip off Amsen.
I'm just gonna, like, have my hands out, confused, and be like, alright, I guess we're going down the pass.
Okay, so are you heading north into the fjord, into the valley, or you go into Kristoff's Ogre's Breath Pass?
Yeah.
Kristoff's Pass.
Yeah, Kristoff's Ogre's Breath.
Okay, so whoever is attempting to lead the party there, make a survival check at advantage, because Kristoff told you as best as he could how to get there.
Want to do something useful, Kalvyn? You want me to tell you what to do? Make sure we don't get lost.
I know this. I know the answer to this one. Hold on a second. Let me think. Let me. This is it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. Great,
yeah.
good job.
And he just starts walking.
Okay, as you flip each other the bird, you begin walking. Is someone going to give a survival check, or do y'all just walk in a random direction?
Definitely in a random direction. Probably towards the
you.
But I
Ball
don't know.
will start to perform the survival check, making it clear that he is still exhausted. But
Yeah.
as in, like, I'm gonna, if no one else is gonna lead, Ball will
Wait.
instinctively lead.
I'm pretty bad at it, but I can do it. If
I
someone...
can cast Owl's Wisdom, like an enhanced ability.
But we're already going to have advantage. Whoever's going to do it.
Okay, never mind then.
Unless Ball does it.
Unless Ball does it. So we don't want Ball to do it. But I'm not really great.
Okay, I'm rolling in 5 seconds.
Speak now, guys.
All right.
Kalvyn, do it. Kalvyn, do it. Please, Kalvyn, do it. Because he actually has good survival.
I'm pretty sure that it's been 5 seconds.
Alright, I guess I'm rolling. So,
Okay, enhance ability, hang on. So I'm giving you Owl's Wisdom, so you have advantage on wisdom checks, so it is a...
okay, so
It
it's...
already was a straight roll.
So now
Right,
it's
so
back
would
at
this give him...
advantage.
Yeah.
Alright,
Vesper, what does that look like when you cast that spell? I don't think you've cast it before.
I have not cast it before. So I think I just kind of touch Ball on the arm, and since it's the Owl's Wisdom, I think maybe his eyes kind of glow, and for a moment that kind of smoky effect kind of comes out of his eyes.
Yeah, and they probably even, the pupil dilates a little bit, enlarging almost to owl size in a strange way. As Ball leads forward, leads west, carving through. The terrain is very difficult and slow going, charging through snow, climbing over rocks. It's a very rocky terrain as you're moving west along basically a mountain ridge. So the movement is slow going, and you start to get into these ridges and these crevices. Sometimes they're only 10 feet deep, and sometimes they get far deeper. You can kind of see the spider webbing of these trenches almost that are formed naturally that Kristoff told you about, and you're trying to follow as best as you can. You travel like this for a few hours as you begin to move into one of these valleys. You're heading down into it, and you see it's filled with mist. It's kind of low smoke that's hanging at this altitude, and it's kind of hard to see into it. But as you do move into it, you start to see figures, silhouettes, as you start to move in, but not creatures. You see walls. As you pass by, you see a building in the distance as you're moving in. They're strange. They're not wooden. Maybe they're of stone, but their shapes are strange. Strange abnormal angles, these dark, blackish with hints of red stone in them. You can see, looks like 5 structures of these ruins. You can see the ground as you look around is covered in dirt, stone, and smut. This kind of dark, grayish smut on the ground. There's no vegetation here in this valley. There's just a few thorny roots. Look similar, Wink, to your spell almost, but it's darker. This dark, brownish red thorny roots that climb out and spread around things, choking whatever tree is remaining dead. You can see on the other side of this area, the crevice continues back up out of this small mini valley.
Do I get the sense that this is a supernatural area between the mist and the creepy ass plants, or is it just normal?
Supernatural how?
I'm trying to figure out, does it seem...
Does the mist seem natural or caused by magic?
Does the mist seem natural given correct with the temperature and everything that we're at, especially given the plants? I'm also concerned if they seem normal for the area,
either investigation or a nature check. Nature will be a slightly lower DC.
I am proficient in nature now. Thank you, Arcane Archer. 10.
Okay, so looking around, the mist, it could be fog at this altitude, could make sense. But as you're moving through, the ground is definitely different. It's not hard to distinguish that, and it feels slightly warmer here. There's a smell in the air, a sulfurous smell in the air. And as you kind of set forward, a little bit of that black grayish powder curls up as if it's charcoal or ash, partially covered by snow that's melted into this gray, blackish muck almost.
I get any my spider sense tingling at all?
What's the range on it?
I don't have a range.
30, 60 feet or something?
It's just... I don't have...
okay, I remember yours. It's like
just, I get... Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Just to try to understand if this is anything that I would know about, or anything that...
I'll say nature or investigation, maybe. Nature, investigation, maybe an insight.
Maybe an insight? Well, I could do any of those. What would you prefer? And also, do I have advantage is the other question.
You would have advantage on the nature or investigation check.
Okay, I'll roll investigation. Then it doesn't matter. I'll do investigations. They're the same bonus. Okay, that's it's a straight 12.
A 12? Investigating, looking into the soot, you're not really sure, but investigating at the shape of the buildings, there are these curved angles, sharp at the top, almost as if the structures are leaning to one side. Where they're of this solid stone. You see no mortar or bricks. It's just like solid, dark stone. The architecture is foreign and strange, and you think you've seen it before in a book. A book on fiends. You don't remember much more than that, but the architecture is fiendish in nature.
I will pull out my weapons at the very least as we continue on, and being as alert as possible.
As soon as you start walking on the black ash, I think Vesper kind of slows to a halt for a second, and then kind of forces herself to keep walking.
Yeah, and Wink's gonna actually lag behind a bit. Not far, but maybe keep 20 or so feet back from the group.
I'll draw my rapier in one hand and my hand crossbow in the other.
Okay, so as you draw out your weapons, Paul, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll follow suit and I'll take out my greatsword.
Take out my rapier.
Okay, so
just kind of take everyone else's lead.
As you kind of shift forward, there's 4 structures that form a rough square, and then there's the 5th structure beyond it that's larger than the rest. You can see it goes up, and you see a dome-like structure on the top. It's maybe 2-3 stories, judging, but the dome itself is skeletal. You just see the beams of the same dark stone with no actual shingles or roof. Again, all of the angles are very strange and abnormal. But as you begin to move into the center of the 4 buildings, you see in the center that there looks like to be a well that's overgrown by these thorns. You can see a few other trees that look like they've died and perished, being choked to death by these thorny roots as you walk into the center.
At this well, if Ball tries to use Druidcraft to kind of resprout some life, does anything unusual happen?
Yeah, as you focus in on the well, sensing a seed of some sort long forgotten, you focus on it, and out of it cracks a tiny little sproutling. 2 little leaves form out in green. And as you release the magic and kind of watch it, it immediately withers and dies into dust.
This is not normal. What is this place?
I think we need to stay away from those thorns, at any rate.
This place looks exactly, and after noticing, saying this after noticing Ball and his sprout withering away, this place looks very much like something out of those stories where you hear about the heroes going into the evil villains' land that they own after they've destroyed the whole place.
Yeah, right. Maybe we should hurry up then. Let's just go.
Yeah, let's keep going. Quickly.
Are you all being quiet as you're moving through?
We are
Very
now.
much so.
I would like to be.
Yep.
You don't have to be.
That's the classic DM giving you that one final chance.
Well, it's one of those things where are you going to be quiet or are you just moving quickly? Because one will get you out quicker and the other one will be more quieter about it. You so far haven't been. You've been walking weapons out.
I think Vesper honestly is going to just try and be as fast as she can. This makes her really uncomfortable.
All right.
Okay.
I'll follow Vesper's lead then.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I use Divine Sense and use that as we kind of walk through?
Yeah. You're beginning to move and press forward, starting to move past their well to get to the other side, just get out of here as quickly as possible. Ball as you're leaving the well and reaching out your senses, trying to find out what might be there. You sense a few things. You sense darkness, a very big presence in front of you and below. It's big. And normally you can't sense things past a lot of stone or brick or anything like that, but you sense this strange, omnipresence, big feeling forward and then deep below. The second things you notice are almost blips on the radar compared to that first one. You notice 1, 2, 3, 4 senses. And at first they're just tiny pulses, but you almost sense them turn on. As you hear to your right, you see something bursting out of the ground, flesh matted and torn. You see half of the jaw exposed, these rotting teeth pouring out. You see another one to your left, one in front of you, and you hear these noises of these creatures rushing in. I need everyone to roll initiative.
We are not alone. And then I'll point my sword and roll initiative.
Oh boy.
That's a 5.
Hey,
11.
I got a 5 too. 5 buddies.
Alright, so I was hanging back a little bit. So I'll be by this tree, I guess.
Yeah, and you guys can place yourselves about where you think you'd be. But you'd be about near that well. I know Wink said he was being pulled by, but somewhere in that basic range.
Which way are we traveling, north or south?
You're heading north.
Okay.
Also, is it nighttime?
No,
Or is it
it's
just
not.
dark here?
No, it shouldn't be like that. I'll fix that. Okay, so Kalvyn, you are up first as you see a few jump into screen. Oops, if I can move their layer. Bursting out of the ground, surrounding you see 3 creatures. Their flesh matted and tied to the sides. You see these long tongues hanging out the sides of their mouth, licking into the air. And you're up.
Are you not allowed to use your standard action for a bonus action? Specifically, what I want to do is I want to light both my swords as using my bonus action to light one, using the other bonus action, using my standard action as a bonus action to light the other.
I think technically you can't, but I'll go situation by situation. In this case, I'll allow you to do it. Like there's some spells, like I won't allow 2 healing words sort of thing. I think that's what that rule's for. I'll allow it for now and I'll look into it, but I'll let it go for now.
Okay, then I light my swords and move in front of Ellory.
Okay, so dragging both of your blades across your arms or hands, the blood lining the blades, immediately igniting on fire, putting yourself in between Ellory and one of these strange creatures. As Wink, as you're looking out, you see the 3 creatures. You hear something burst up from the ground as you turn to the side, and you see one of these creatures bursting out. And as it comes out of the ground, it reaches its claws towards you. 11 to hit?
That'll miss.
It comes right by you. You weren't expecting it, but you were just able to move past it. As it reaches out towards you, it's going to stay right there, and it's going to bring us up to this one over here. It's going to move towards the biggest target. It's going to immediately move up to you, Ball. As this creature moves up, it's going to slam its, try to attempt to slice you with its claws, these elongated black claws. That is a 9 to hit.
That will not hit.
It scrapes along your chainmail armor, unable to penetrate. And that will bring us up to this creature over here, and then to Vesper as I'm moving this last creature. As Vesper, you see to the left, you see another creature, hulking but bent over, hunched over. You see this creature, the bottom jaw is gone. You see this long hanging tongue flopping out as it moves slowly, surveying the area.
Okay. I'm going to cast Sacred Flame on this blue one. And hopefully it's not very dexterous.
And
oh god.
Before you do that, you need to make a Constitution saving throw. So as this creature looks around and you begin to conjure your spell, it climbs over the short wall and begins stalking towards you. You can see the smell is horrifying.
13.
As you try to hold in the nausea, you can feel yourself trying to vomit. You hold it down as best you can in this horrific stench. And you're okay. You're holding it back as you prepare your spell.
Okay, I'm actually going to Sacred Flame that guy then.
Okay. Is that a ranged attack?
No, it is a save.
Dex
You
save?
need to make a dexterity save.
7.
That will not do it. So it's a D8. Right, because yeah. That is 7 radiant damage.
As the divine energy rains down from the clouds above, it slams into this creature. He tries to dodge out of the way, but it stings on its flesh. You see, it almost burns off this rotted flesh. And that will bring us up to this creature here. Here's what I was looking for. And as you see, this one is going to suddenly jump out of the ground and begin moving forward. Running to your left, Wink, you hear another noise as you see some breaking out of the ground and running towards you. It gets right up to you, is unable to do anything from there. And that'll bring us up to you, Wink. You have one on both sides next to this dead tree. What do you do?
Okay. I am going to... Fuck it. I'm going to run and just ignore their attacks of opportunities. So that's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. No, one more. I can get there. So they can swat at me if they'd like.
If you're not going further, you can use your action to disengage.
I would like to use my bow, so no.
So the one that rolled the lowest out of the two rolled a 20.
Okay, so they both hit.
Okay. So the first one, as you're turning to run, slashes down your back, taking 9 slashing damage, and you need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Great. 22.
Okay. You make that, you feel your back suddenly go numb as the second one slashes into you. 4 slashing damage, and another Constitution saving throw.
Okay. 17.
The second one hits you as well, striking you along the slides, just barely cutting under your armor. Again, it feels numb there, but you're able to push through and continue running. You get to where you currently are.
All right, well, that sucked. So I will just bonus action, second wind. That helps a lot. And then I will go ahead and take a shot at Green, who's harassing me. I was going to try and help someone else, but now I'm in trouble. 17?
Yeah, 17 will hit as you draw back and strikes into it.
For 10 piercing damage.
There we go. The arrow strikes it, almost center of mass, almost knocking it back a foot. It remains standing, but you've significantly hurt it. You see the feather of the arrow is kind of sticking out of its torso diaphragm region.
Well, in that case, I'll action surge and try and hit it again.
Okay, quickly breathing in, drawing
20.
back, releasing, strikes again.
For 6 piercing.
This one is looking pretty rough already. 2 quick arrows into it. It's slowed down. And though the body slows down, its face is still facing towards you with these glowing red eyes. Its lower jaw unhinging as the long, snake-like tongue wraps out. You're going to stay there, Wink?
That's my turn.
Okay. And next up is going to be the purple one that Kalvyn, you were putting yourself in between this creature and Ellory as it starts running straight for you. So that is a 11 to hit.
No good.
It strikes up and you knock it away with your sword, just parrying the attack away. And that brings us up to you, Ellory, as you have Kalvyn right in front of you.
Okay, seeing the one that attacked Wink, that also seems to be the one that I have the best view of, so I'm going to go ahead and cast Firebolt. That's 21.
That does... Okay, the green one. Okay, yeah, you see the 2 wounded and arrows into this one creature, throwing a firebolt towards it, see if you can end it.
Just 1.
Just 1. The flames slam into it from the side. Not enough to knock it completely down, but this one is getting hammered. It won't last much longer. You're going to stay where you are?
Yeah, I'm staying put.
Okay. Amsen, as you see Ellory sling that firebolt, slamming into this wounded creature, it's up to you.
Where's Meli in all this?
Meli is right beside you.
Okay. I just asked because yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so because the one about 30 feet south of me that attacked Wink is still up, I'm going to look to my left and shoot it with my hand crossbow.
Okay.
Let me get my tab up.
You're shooting towards the blue one, right?
No, the green one.
Oh, the green one, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That is that's a dirty 20.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay, and that is 6 points of piercing damage.
It hits into the side of its temple. It kind of takes a few steps before falling on its side.
Awesome. I'm going to use my bonus action to inspire Vesper. And I am going to sing... yeah, sure, let's go with this one. Dance, Vesper, dance, Vesper, dance, Vesper, dance, Vesper, put that magic spell on me. Heal, Vesper, heal, Vesper, heal, Vesper, heal, Vesper, cast protection down on me, save my life, stop this bleed!
Bless you.
That's awesome. Take
So
that inspiration.
you get a D6 inspiration, and then I'm going to move up towards the blue one so that I'm beside both Vesper and Meli.
Okay. And that brings us up to Ball. Standing by the well, you have one in front of you.
I'm going to move away from it, incurring the attack of opportunity.
That is a 14 to hit.
That won't hit.
Okay, so on your back as you shift over.
Then I'm going to take a swing at this one that's in front of Vesper.
Okay. Make an attack roll as you move over, bringing the axe down.
7.
Sword. 7 will miss as it comes down. It just shifts over to the side as the sword slams into the ground at your feet.
And then with my bonus action, I'm going to use Compelled Duel on it. Basically, it's disadvantage if it attacks anyone but me, assuming it makes the Wisdom saving throw, which is the spell save 13.
It rolled a 15, but yeah, it's just a 15.
Okay, so it doesn't do anything. Never mind.
Okay. So you call out to it as you look at it, but it doesn't seem to understand or really care as it's missing the lower jaw, just extends the tongue as part of its throat flesh in its entirety. Is that where you're going to end your turn, Ball?
Yeah, that's the end of my turn.
Okay. That will bring us up to this creature who's going to step up and is going to go for, let's see, do 1d3 here to the side. It's going to go for Vesper. And that is a 17 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
So this creature comes at its claws. You try to dodge to your left or right, but Ball and Meli are both there as it strikes into you. 8 slashing damage as it across your chest. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. 11.
Okay, you feel yourself slowly begin to congeal. You feel your movement slowed in this moment. You're currently paralyzed. You can repeat those saves at the end of your turn, so remind me of that.
Yeah.
And Meli is going to fire off at this other creature, undead creature that just popped out of the ground, and she's firing at that other creature, similar in nature. And that's going to bring us up to Kalvyn.
Okay, I am just going to hack away at it.
Okay. Go for it.
First attack is a 20-something. 20.
Dives into it. You can hear the bone break open as this black fluid substance begins to pour out, and on your sword that burns up, hissing as it boils. That does it.
Okay, and the second attack is... God dang. Where were these rolls earlier? That's a 20-something as well. 22. So...
As it slows down, it tries to pull away, but before it comes loose, your other blade comes around, striking into its side. Both hit.
The 12 plus 8 is 20 slashing damage. Okay, two of which is fire, then 18 slashing. Okay. So 20 total.
Between these two strikes, and you see the thing as you withdraw the blades almost fall over. It is clinging to unlife, but barely hanging on. As it slowly is reaching out to grab you. And that will bring us up to this one. It's pretty pissed off right now. It's just going to be able to get up to you, Link. That'll be a 21 to hit.
Yep.
That is 4 slashing damage, and make a Constitution saving throw as the claws strike across your upper shoulder as your height.
11.
You too, as it strikes, you can feel it. Your arm go numb, just as your back and your side did, but this time it doesn't fade. This time it spreads over across your chest. You can feel your muscles tighten and go numb to where you can't feel them as you suddenly become paralyzed as well.
Awesome.
And that will bring us up to this one, who's going to run up, catch up to where Ball is, and strike. That is a 21 to hit.
Yes, that'll hit.
9 slashing damage as the claws strike into you, feeling their way pushing through the chinks in the armor. Go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
Is exhaustion disadvantage on saving throws, or?
You only have one level, and it's just checks, like skill,
okay.
So you're straight rolling this.
That's a natural one.
Unfortunately, that's going to fail as well. As the claws dig into your stomach, which is about as high as it can reach, it digs in, just trying to dig in, almost like it's digging into dirt as these claws feel up into your abdomen. But it doesn't hurt. It feels numb as, again, it spreads across your body as you too become paralyzed. And that will bring us up to this other creature who's missing the jaw, but still has the long tongue, and is going to go for the one that burned him. Go for Vesper, because you're paralyzed. 21 to hit.
No, that doesn't. Yeah, of course that hits.
And because you are currently paralyzed, you are incapacitated, cannot move or speak, automatically fail, advantage, and this is a critical.
Awesome.
And you're going to take 19 slashing damage.
I'm out.
Strikes it. For those of you who are conscious still, even though they're paralyzed, you can still see blurry. You just can't move. This strike goes across Vesper's unmoving throat. She's unable to dodge from it and just goes across her throat, slitting it. This blood, this a little bit different color from most, spurts out a few times before she falls to the ground. And at the sake of time, do you guys want to pick up at this moment next session? Right in the thick of it. We could probably finish it fairly quickly, but not quickly enough. So I think, let's probably just hold it up till next session. I'll keep this initiative order and where we are currently at in it. And which will be Vesper. Making it a Vesper.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Back to the Story. For notifications when an episode goes live, you can subscribe to us on podcasts.com or follow us on Twitter at back2_the_story. Or if you would like further information about the campaign, the player characters, NPCs, or behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, follow us on Tumblr at back-to-the-story.tumblr.com.